Israel is disgraceful. If any Jewish person voted for Joe Biden, they should be ashamed of themselves. He's totally abandoned Israel, and nobody can believe it. I guess he feels good about it because he did it as a political decision. You have to do the right decision, not the political decision.
I'm so confused. That's Trump after his trial, where he's been in contempt at least 3 times for corruption. And this is what he has to say. Every day he's coming out saying stuff. And it's baffling to me. We are here with Ali Velshi Seena Ghaznavi. Ali has a new book out. I don't know. Small Acts of Courage is the name of the book. What do we do with this?
That's a good question.
He could be president. Y'all, we laughing. What? It's like, for real, though. He could get elected in November. This is serious stuff.
I guess the conflict for most people is that he says things and does things that seem so outlandish that you can be tempted to not take it seriously. Except hidden in between all these things he says is an agenda of what he's actually going to do. And what he did in his last administration was, in an effort to achieve or try to achieve legitimacy, he found some people who, in theory, would have been good at their office, people who thought that they were serving the country, and though they probably didn't like Donald Trump or his policies very much, would come and be of service to the country. That's not going to happen in a second Trump term. It's all going to be about loyalty. It's not going to be about meritocracy. It's not going to be the best people for the job. It's going to be the ones who will be fiercely loyal to him. And we've seen many of those. So the problem is that it comes across, when you watch the Rudy Giuliani press conference at the Four Seasons landscaping thing in Philadelphia, where it was supposed to be the Four Seasons Hotel, you think these guys aren't serious, but it was deadly serious. And when you look at the indictments, particularly around the election ones, they're very serious. There was a real plan to overturn democracy, and that plan will go into action if Donald Trump gets elected again. And again, this is a privilege issue, Karen. If you don't know what it feels like to not have democracy, if you have the privilege of being able to discount politicians, if you have the privilege of not being able to follow or like politics, it means you haven't lost it or you haven't been without it. And once you lose it, it's very hard to get it back. But what a hard message to get through to people who don't believe that their democracy is at stake.
So he tells Jewish people, if you vote for Biden, shame on you, because Biden is not supporting Israel. Then you got people calling Joe Biden Genocide Joe because of his support of Israel. I'm like, you can't have it both ways. Either he's Genocide Joe or he's anti-Israel. He can't be both. Unless it's Trump. And so now we have people not voting who were Democrats because of what's going on in Israel in the Gaza Strip. And now he's telling Jewish people, if you vote for him, I don't know how you do that as a Jewish person. Shame on you. Yeah. These are wild times. Let's take some calls. Dave in Virginia. Hi.
Hey, Karen. How are you?
Good. Welcome.
And thank you. Thank you for taking my call. And thank you. And hello to your guests. I just had really 3 quick things to say about Project 25. I understand. I definitely do not want our previous president to get back in. I understand democracy can be fragile, but this is, I made this point with Clay too, is just what I think it was either Ali or I'm not sure who said this, but the thing is we got 3 co-equal, branches of government, and neither one of those branches want to give up, concede any of their power. The judicial branch is not going to concede power to the executive branch, and the legislative branch does not want to concede power to the executive branch. And I can go one step further is the fact that the reason why Trump even has a chance of winning right now is because there are Republicans in the House and the Senate that don't want to go against him. Why? Because they know if they go against him, they'll lose. They may lose their seat, and if they lose their seat, they're losing their power. They don't want to lose their power.
You just undermined your very point. Did you make this point today? On Clay, did you call Clay today?
No, it's about a week ago.
All right. I mean, the judicial branch is already in Trump's pocket. 3 of those people owe their lives and their livelihoods and their seat, particularly like an Amy Coney Barrett, who didn't even try a single case and somehow made it to the bench. Neil Gorsuch, who shouldn't have been his pick at all. And of course, Brett Kavanaugh. And coupled with that is Ginny Thomas's husband, Clarence Thomas, who is corrupt as hell. and also in the pocket of Trump and his buddy Samuel Alito. So he already has he already has the judicial branch. Period. In Congress, yes. This is why midterms matter. And when we don't show up, guess what happens? What we're in right now. What do you say to Dave?
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead,
Ali. Go ahead, Seena. I'd love to hear you.
I just think to that point, I listened to all the oral arguments for the Trump immunity case at the Supreme Court because that's how I like to get down. And they're going to side with him. I know it may not be a full win for him, but it's not going to make any of us happy. Like the judicial branch cannot be understated. You've said it a bunch on this show, Karen. The Supreme Court is why it's more important than anything when it comes to these presidential elections. Because look, he has appointed 3 people. These are lifetime appointments. Generations of people are going to be affected by their decisions. And this court is now overturning so many cases of precedents. And there's a lot you can look at how they've skewed what stare decisis, what jurisprudence even means at a very fundamental level. They're just making it up on what they want to have the world look like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And an interesting point here is that in a normal world, Barack Obama was a guy who wanted more executive power. George W. Bush was a guy who wanted more executive power, but that came from the executive. Those were executive lawyers who were arguing the case. Project 2025 is conservative organizations, including the Heritage Fund, which helped the president pick the Supreme Court. So it's all an inside job. That's the thing to remember. The Supreme Court is not up against Donald Trump in terms of don't take power that is ours. It's all part of the same thing. They want to dismantle the administrative state. They want the president to have more authority. They want the president to sit on the board of the Federal Reserve so that the Fed has to consult the president about interest rates. So the fix is in. That's the thing to remember. While that lovely Constitution that I read when I became a citizen says otherwise, what's actually happening in our politics, Seena put it well, the fix is in.
What's the scariest part of Project 2025? Because it's an 800+ page manifesto that has probably been worked on for a while. That's free for everyone to read, by the way. You can download it. Like they are freely saying, hey.
I think that's the scariest part. Is that they said all the whole, not even the quiet part. They said the medium part. They said the loud part. Yep. They said all of it. They organized it really nicely. This used to be like the backroom talks that everyone used to talk about. Now they're just like, oh, here's a downloadable PDF. Oh, do you want like an EPUB for your Kindle? We'll do that too. Like it's everywhere.
It's all
what's the strategy there? What's that strategy for putting it out widely?
I think, when you look at certain countries that have, as I described, given up their democracy, that they've sort of lent themselves to autocracy. Part of it is when people feel out of control, right? When they feel that their society is out of control. So we have a vibe right now that crime is out of control. We have a vibe that migrants are out of control and commit too much crime. We have a vibe that there's wars all over the place and the pronouns are taking over and the immigrants are taking over and the refugees. We've got all this vibing going on that feels a little bit like chaos. And the strong man comes in and says, I alone can fix it. I just need to be dictator for a day. I'm going to fix the water pressure and I'm going to build walls and all this kind of stuff. But what Donald Trump doesn't have, because we watched him do this the first time, is he doesn't have either moral authority or the know-how to actually get it done. Now, a bunch of organizations who do have the know-how, the Heritage Foundation is the group that give the Federalist Society, they give the names to the president who he appoints as Supreme Court justices. So what's happened is the brains of the operation have come out and said, we're behind this guy. So if you're done with chaos and mayhem and you want law and order and you want things to be a certain way and you want rules, he's going to do it and we're going to back him up. I think that's what that 900 pages is about. It's about saying that if he becomes president again, he's going to be powerful and strong and be able to do the things he actually says he's going to do. Because remember, in 2016, he couldn't. He just kept bungling. Now you're going to see a president who actually decides he's going to do stuff and things might get done.
Jesus.